In our fourth week of Swansea Summer Seminars, we've had a paper from Thomas Husøy, who is a PhD student here at Swansea. So let's start off, Thomas, with your research project. What is actually the context of your paper that you gave today?
So the specific context of the paper I gave today looks at the importance of localized deities for both the regional ethnicities and also the smaller sub-regional identities within ancient Greece, focusing primarily on three case studies, namely Asopus in Boeotia, Pan in Arcadia, and Trophonius in Western Boeotia. This fits into my research. It's a sort of a bigger project looking at the regional regionalism and how it fits with federalism and how this fits with ancient ethnicities in the Greek world. This is a project I got into doing a few years ago after sitting down and having a dinner with people at the conference I was in Edinburgh, where James Roy specifically asked the question of why federalism, which spurred the idea of this, and started my PhD here in Swansea. And after a couple of meetings with my supervisor, my idea had originally been to sort of look at the very early years before the federal states came about and look at why federalism in terms of the early sort of thing there. But after a few weeks of conversations with my supervisor, we landed on the idea that perhaps I should also start looking into the wider mythological identities and how they play into all of this, and that eventually diverged into looking at these smaller sub-regional concepts within that again, such as Asanians and Parasians in Arcadia, as I mentioned in my talk, or Asopids and Manians in Boeotia, as I also referred to in my talk. Other example being the Kragalidae in Phocis and so on. So, but my general research looks at that this paper is feeding into that by looking at how localized deities and the family trees were used to emphasize these ideas.
Yeah, thank you very much. And I mean, what's interesting here is you are really introducing us all to groupings of ancient Greeks in the mainland, particularly, who we really hear about. I mean, of course, Arcadians and Boeotians turn up quite often, but some of these small groups, very few people will have heard about before. So would you like to tell us a bit more about the paper you gave today?
Yeah, today's paper, it looked into, as I said, three specific deities. I chose these three for the reason that the ethnicity works in several layers, and I feel these three quite highlights my overall argument in my thesis, in the sense that Asopus represents an identity layer for the Eastern Boeotians, Trophonius associated with the Manians and the Boeotians later on, whilst Pan is quite important in sort of viewing how Arcadia came together as a grouping as well. So the paper today was sort of trying to highlight how these localized deities, how the family trees construct, how these family trees was used to construct not just ethnicities, but also how they changed to fit political narratives and how they changed to fit the changing aspects of ethnicities and localized political identities.
Right, yeah, so thank you very much. I think we've all learned a lot about myth and local identities today. Thank you very much, Thomas.
Thank you.